You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the Outspoken Network Sportscast Edition. My name is Craig, the host for this evening. That's Jeff. How you doing this evening, Jeff?
I'm good. I made a mistake there.
Yeah, no big deal. All right, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals, NHL Stanley Cup, the NBA coaching carousel, the newly added coaches, and some Major League Baseball power rankings tonight on the show. I guess we'll jump right into the NBA Finals. Game 1 was last night. You got the Heat and the Nuggets. Boston goes and wins a miraculous Game 6, Jeff, on a kind of a crazy shot. They throw it up with 3 seconds left, and Miami thinks they won the game, and Derek White comes out of nowhere and throws it off the glass, and Miami's celebrating and has to be told by the referees that you got to go play Game 7 in Boston. So they do, and they somehow recover, and Boston goes into their garden where we think they're unbeatable in a Game 7 and just lays an egg.
Yeah, that was pretty insane. That was probably one of the most insane and probably the most replayed
absolutely.
ends to a finals or
Brian
a
was texting
championship
me.
game.
Brian was texting me. He's like, well, Jimmy Buckets just iced it. He throws 3 free throws down. Boston's got 3 seconds. So I flip it over because the hockey game just ended. And all of a sudden my phone blows up and Brian's like, oh my God, I know, but what just happened? And so Boston, you think at that point in time, they just seized all momentum. You're going home
Right.
for
That's
a Game
what I
7.
thought. Yeah.
Miami already celebrated, then had to be told, hey, calm down, you didn't win. So you think they have all the momentum, and somehow they don't. So it's
That was
Miami
just crazy.
and Denver, and Game 1 is last night, and Joker probably plays the worst game he's played in the playoffs, and Denver still wins by 10.
Yeah.
If you're a Miami fan, you have to be kind of concerned.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I don't think he scored much in the first half. I think
3 quarters.
Yeah, first
He
3
was
quarters. It was just
now he had some assists, he had some
obviously,
rebounds, he had some other stuff, but he just didn't score. At the end of the game, he has 27, Murray has 26, so it looks like, if you just look at the box score, it looks like they both had a good game. Jimmy Butler was probably the worst he's been in the playoffs. He had 13. Bam Adebayo has 27. He tries to when your offense, when Bam Adebayo has like 30 shots, there's a problem in Miami. You can't run your offense through Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, some of it could also be they played a Game 7.
Absolutely.
Colorado had the luxury of kind of just relaxing there and just waiting at home, really.
Yes.
For the visitors to come in and whoever it was, and I think that those guys, I don't see how the Miami players were still out there after a series the way that the way that went, being up 3-0, and then just allowing Boston to just come back and force Game 7, which is insane.
You used a lot of energy,
yeah,
to close out Boston when it looked like you were going to sail and walk into the finals, and you used a lot of emotional energy and ups and downs of thinking you won Game 6, but you didn't win Game 6, and so yeah, hopefully to at least make it a series, that Miami can recover a little bit and play better and deal, but
it's just, there's a lot of momentum with this Nuggets team. It's the first time they've been as a team. The town just came off of a Stanley Cup championship. The fans are in it. The fan base is just growing, because it's this, we've had years of really these teams. The Rockies haven't done anything. The Avs haven't really been anything for a while till last year. The Nuggets, even with Melo, they just weren't that good. They didn't have extra pieces in there to get them over the hump. They had Iverson at one point, same thing. So it's just like there was something that, if you put all this down on paper, it's definitely a city that's just waiting, for this bubble to explode and the Nuggets to win this whole thing, because this town will go absolutely nuts. And the fact that two teams, not the Broncos, obviously, but two teams,
and you wonder what they can bring with a new Russell Wilson losing 40 pounds and a new head coach,
right?
What they can bring.
It'll be interesting because, I will say this much, and this is something that I've noticed. When the Avs won, they had a huge parade, tons of people, and I think it's going to be the same thing here. I think if the Nuggets do go all the way here, it's going to be an insane parade. It's going to be an insane amount of fandom and everything, because it's just, these fans are hungry for another championship, and this team's really good.
Absolutely. Their pick and roll, the pick and roll between Murray and Joker is one of the best in basketball. The fan base is exploded with I mean, that building was exploding last night, and it wasn't their best game by far. No. So if you can get away with a game like that, then I think you're in great shape. Now, I did find a stat that was very weird to me. In an NBA Finals game, 25 free throws for Utah and 2 for Miami. I've never seen an NBA team shoot 2 free throws, and
yeah.
At some point, there had to be some fouls that were missed or something. I don't know. That's just that.
It's all scripted.
But it's a huge. But that's just a huge difference in a number.
Yeah,
like you just don't see that very often.
And that very well may go the opposite direction at some point. Where it's like, okay, it'll even out somewhere.
But I just saw that number and I went, oh,
yeah.
Did 22 free throws and they lose by 10. Like, you have to at least at some point look at it.
It's exciting. It's exciting to hear the people here are super hyped for this, and some people that probably weren't necessarily big basketball fans are in it, and it's really interesting to see all this, because they've been good, but they just haven't been good enough over the last few years.
You've made some runs, but you've always fallen a bit short. It's just it's crazy.
And the crazy part is this reminds me, and I know I'm as a Maverick fan, it reminds me a lot of when Dirk won, because it was right at the tail end of these teams that were just dominating constantly. Kobe and the Lakers dominating every year. We could never get past that. Somehow the Spurs would get in our way every time. We couldn't get past them.
You caught a team somewhere along the line,
right?
in that run, you beat the Lakers, you beat you beat a
Right.
Miami team that was in a thorn in your side.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what's interesting about this team. You take a look at it, and a lot of people are like, "Is this the end of the Warriors? Are they done now? Is the dynasty over?"
well, yeah,
You
especially
know,
their GM,
right?
moves on.
The
Uh,
Lakers are kind of are they?
yeah,
You know, was that the
don't know if
last of the
LeBron's
run
coming
there?
back.
Right.
Yeah, 100%. It could be they could be the new West favorites by
Right.
far, and they're all young. And well, that's what they're talking about here. You got a team in Miami that was the 8th seed. You got a team in the Lakers that were the 7th seed. Do you regret going into tank mode and not trying to make the playoffs? Because what happens here, you got an 8th seed that's in the finals, the 7th seed that was in the West final, or the semifinals. What did you give up in Dallas to get that pick? That you've never been like if you were great at drafting, that's one thing, but you haven't been great at drafting and you gave up a pick for maybe a run. And if you have the best player on the floor, which when you have Luka and Kyrie, that's a very good possibility that you going into a series, you're going to have the best player on the floor. That's what they're talking about here, and they're also talking about the same thing you're talking about: the Denver, the Joker, and the Dirk comparability of where they're at in the career, and just what you were talking about, how it all came together. They
Right.
think Jamal's been hurt the last 2 years, so those runs, he got hurt right towards the end of the season, or
Yeah, I think I remember that. Yeah, there was,
and
you know,
so he missed a playoff run,
right.
and he missed the year before with a knee, and so this is kind of the first time you've had the whole nucleus of what they built all together to play, and it's coming together nicely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
Denver.
exciting.
Denver's clearly the favorite. I had Denver and I had Boston, and I was one game from being correct. And I think that would have been a better series. I just don't think Miami has anything for them. This has been a magical run.
I'd love for Miami to win a game.
I think
Maybe
it's
two,
5.
but
I
I
really
think
think it's 5. I
yeah.
don't think it goes much further than that. I think Miami is exhausted. They used a lot of unexpended energy to get here. It would have been interesting to see if they did sweep Boston, what 2 fresh teams
Right.
looking like would have gone. But it'll be a good series.
Yeah, then so game 2 is tonight?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night? Okay.
Tomorrow night.
So Miami has a rest.
Yes. Yes. You should have every other day. They might give them an extra day when they go back to Miami. They might give them the travel day and then one day to get settled in Miami. I'd have to look it up. But
Yeah, and this is super good for the city as well. It's bringing in more money.
oh, absolutely.
More there's I think I've been hearing that there were celebrities at the game and all this kind of
and
stuff.
Miami fans travel pretty well, so you're going to have both sides
Right.
filling the deal. And talk about fans of like superstars, famous fans. Miami has plenty of those that will travel.
Right.
So we'll be interested to see how this plays out and where we stand next Friday when we come on the show.
I'm pretty sure we'll see Peyton there.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, just
Yeah.
with his son.
Yeah.
He was in the last series, so I'm sure.
Right.
Here.
So, all right, we're going to go to preview the Stanley Cup Finals that starts tomorrow. The Vegas Golden Knights against the Florida unheard of Panthers that came out of nowhere and have stunned America. Beat Boston, beat Toronto, swept the hottest team in the playoffs was supposed to be. Every time they've been massive underdogs and they're just like, don't care. And they're massive underdogs again. Vegas is the home favorite. They are underdogs again, and Florida's loving it.
2 Florida teams in the finals, people.
Yes. And they said it's never happened to where the NBA championship and the Stanley Cup have ended up in the same place. And I still don't think that's going to happen. But
yeah.
My question here, the Stars went and and were down 3-0, and they come back to make a series of it and go to a game 6, which apparently they thought was in Las Vegas at the Fortress, because when they showed up to the AAC on Monday night, the Dallas Stars didn't show up. That was the absolute worst elimination game I've ever seen in my life. Nobody played in front of Ottinger. You get your captain back. You think you have all the momentum. Okay, you want to talk about Boston, how they snatch game 6 and come out of nowhere and force a game 7, and they have all the momentum. Dallas had all the momentum. They had won 2 games, looked very good doing it, gone into the Fortress and beat them at their own game, playing rough hockey. They're getting their captain back, and they do this. It just is unspeakable.
I mean, is that a coaching thing? Is that?
I don't know.
I mean, how is that? Is that just a manager thing? Like, just the manager? Like, I don't know. That's just weird to me.
DeBoer made a solid point. He said, we faced elimination 4 or 5 times. Vegas never faced elimination at all. He said, you can only refill that tank so many times. You can only go back to the well so many times of backs against the wall. We got to win to keep alive. He said there's only so many. We don't have tomorrow if we lose speeches you can give.
Right.
And I think he used them. I think he just told them to do what they do, and I just don't think they had it left. I think the Kraken series took a lot out of them. They went 7 games with the Kraken. That was a very physical, beat-up series. And I mean, here's a team in Dallas that wasn't projected to even – they were projected to maybe be a wild card. I mean, Vegas was supposed to be better. Colorado was supposed to be better. Minnesota was supposed to be better. Edmonton was supposed to be better. All these teams were supposed to be better. And up until the last day of the season, when Colorado wins on a power play goal at the end of regulation, that's when Colorado took the division. So, like, if you're a Stars fan, you have to be excited about what the future brings. The problem with Dallas is going to be payroll. You've got Ben and Sagan that are both making over $9 million. Ben's for 2 more years. Sagan's for 4 more years. And so you only got about $7 million you can spend. Now, there are guys in the minor league that look good. Olofsson and, Hanley comes up and he looked good. The rookie, the 20-year-old who makes the team, Wyatt Johnson makes the team, and he's a star, scores 20 goals and the thing. So he's only going to get better. But you need some defense. Ryan Suter and Esa Lindell looked horrible. I mean, horrible. Suter, they game 2, they dominate for 55 minutes. Suter makes the worst pass in his life, and Vegas ties it and wins in overtime. And they were ahead for 5 minutes, and it was the most important 5 minutes of the game. So right there is you should have gone to game 7 no matter what. So my question with this is, when they face Florida hasn't played in 10 days, 12 days. They swept Carolina. They haven't played. What is that going to do? Is that going to give them new life, and they're going to come out and skate circles around Vegas, who just gave everything they had to get through 6 games, much like Miami? You thought you were going to sweep, and you and then you have to go 2 more games and use expended energy and everything like that. Do we see the same problem? It is in Vegas. The game 1 is in Vegas.
Is Florida a fast team? Are they a fast, very quick?
Yes.
Then that's going to be interesting, because I think if they're going to be fast and they're going to be constantly moving, I think that's going to really take a toll. At least for game 1, I think that's going to be a toll.
Vegas is bigger, and Vegas does something very well that Florida hasn't seen, and that is their defensemen get back extremely quick, and they pressure the whole ice. So it's very difficult to use the speed like Dallas had. Like they don't make it easy to enter the zone.
Okay.
So you can't just go out and track meet them because their defensemen are very well. They're never out of place. You know how like you saw Dallas, you're like, why is that guy over there? What is he doing? You just let this guy
Yeah.
come right in and come on Ottinger. That doesn't happen in Vegas. They make it very difficult to get in the zone. They make it very difficult to get rebounds because their guys are in front of the net, clearing the puck. The goalie gives rebounds, but he doesn't ever have to really face them because they clear them very. The defensemen are in the right spots in front of the crease, helping him out. That is something Vegas is very strong at. That's something that their head coach in Cassidy teaches. He taught it in Boston. He's taught it here. Be in your spots, enter the zone, be in your spots, be in your spots, be in your spots. Don't let people run in. Dallas had slow line changes. Defensemen were lackadaisical. With the games they won, they forechecked real well. They didn't let them come in the zone fast, and so they're capable of playing that game. They just didn't do it consistently. I think it's going to be a good series. I think Vegas wins it, but that goalie from Florida has been on an absolute heater.
And it's probably going to go to 6 and 7.
That's what I think.
I mean, it's
Adin Hill, I just wonder when the Adin Hill fantasy story ends. This guy played 12 games all year. There's a reason he played 12 games all year. They went through 5 goalies. If Adin Hill was this version of Adin Hill, he'd have played more than 12 games. We wouldn't have used 5 goalies. There was a reason that he had a 3 goal against average in the season. There's a reason. So what changed? I have no idea. He's thrusted into the Edmonton series. At that point in time, you think Edmonton definitely has the advantage, and this kid just locks it down. And other than a few fluke goals that the Stars had, whacking it out of the middle of the air and thing, he didn't really let anything that should have been stopped. The ones that should have been stopped, he stopped.
Right.
I don't blame redirects. I don't blame, chip ins. I don't blame it hit a guy's skate. I don't blame the goalie for that. But when you got a guy that rips one from the point and it goes over your left shoulder, all right, well, that's the goalie's fault. And he only had like one of those. The game where Ty Dellandrea just beat him twice on the short side. That was the game, that deal. Vegas is physical. Vegas is tough. The layoff for Florida, it's going to be very interesting to see how they come out tomorrow night. If they can come out and get a game in Vegas, if they can, that's a very tough place to play. Noise, the production that they put on with the drummers and the fire and the all that. It's a very tough place to play. It's extremely loud. Their fans are amazing. They have accepted hockey and ran with it in Vegas. That atmosphere is electric, and it'll be interesting to see. But I think you're right. I think it's 6 or 7 games, and I think we're going to have an absolute battle on our hands. But I think right now that Vegas has the advantage. They have home ice. I just think they have the advantage.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be fun to watch. So
it's going to be amazing to watch. On a quick note, the Kraken go and extend their head coach. He goes and makes the playoffs in his second season, and they're like, well, let's go. They were only 5 points behind, making a better run. They take the Stars to Game 7. That they looked really good that whole series. They made Ottinger look absolutely horrible a couple of different times. Like he got pulled a couple different times. That's going to be a team to deal with in the next few years. So he gets extended. The general manager for the Toronto Maple Leafs gets canned, and he gets canned for a whole 1 day. And now he's the president of hockey operations in Pittsburgh, which will be very interesting to see if the 1987 Pittsburgh Penguins, who have the same team that they had back 30 years ago. You were like, are those guys still playing?
They're cheap.
Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin are still playing, and you're like,
Oh
they
my
were
gosh.
playing 17 years ago. Yeah, I know. They're senior citizens playing hockey. I heard something the other day, and I hope to very goodness that it's not true. 97-year-old Jaromir Jagr is trying to come back and play hockey. I was like, please stop. Please tell me this is just a clickbait article that I don't want to read and open, because he cannot still be playing hockey. But could you imagine Jagr and Malkin and Sidney Crosby, he's one concussion away from being
Oh
in
my
an
God.
old folks home. It just they keep winning though. And the thing of it is, if that team wins one of their last two games, the Florida Panthers don't make the playoffs, and this run never happens. It was out of Florida's control. They did not control their own destiny. Winning put the pressure on Pittsburgh, but if Pittsburgh would have won one of their last two games against two teams that were absolutely had nothing to play for other than to keep Pittsburgh out of the playoffs, which that is exactly what they did, this run from the Florida Panthers never exists. And that's how close they were to not making the playoffs. And here they are going to Vegas for game one on Saturday night. And that's why I love hockey. It's because any team on any night, if you make the show, if you make the playoffs, anything can happen. So
yeah, it seems like that to me. It's
Yeah.
You never know what you're going to get when it comes to hockey. It's pretty insane.
So all right, let's go catch some of these NBA coaching hires that they've just had. Today, Frank Vogel was named the Phoenix Suns to be hiring for their next head coach. Last time we saw Frank, he was coaching the Lakers, and he was just a scapegoat for LeBron. He did win the bubble title, which I don't know if he gets credit for that or not. But Vogel in Phoenix, what do you think about Frank Vogel going to coach Chris Paul? And, well, we don't know if Aiden's going to be there or anything like that. But what do we think about Frank Vogel matching up in Phoenix?
I think it might be a good thing. I don't. Well, no, because you still have Durant.
Yes, correct.
I was gonna say I don't think he'll have like a big personality to deal
Yes.
with, but he does. Oh man, it couldn't be. I mean, they're a good team. I don't see.
Vogel's always had success everywhere he
Yeah.
was. He had success in Indiana. He had success with the Lakers. He's just really he's always been, when things go bad, he's always the scapegoat.
Yeah.
I like Vogel. I think he's very solid. But to me, you needed somebody, like you said, when you have the prima donnas, in there, you need somebody a little bit stronger. And I don't think Vogel's that guy.
No.
I don't think Vogel's the my way or the highway, like Nick Nurse or Doc Rivers or something like that. I think you needed somebody more forward and rough and like a Pop or something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think Vogel is more of like, hey guys, how we doing? I want to be your friend, and we're gonna play basketball, and we're gonna have a good time, and
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
think
win
he
some
did that in
basketball
LA.
games. That's
I think
exactly what he
that in
did.
LA.
Yeah, like that's and that's why they hired him in LA, because LeBron could go, Frank, we're doing it this way. Got it, Bron.
Yeah.
Go team. And so I think that is why they hired him, was for that reason. And I think that's the wrong reason. I think you needed a more of a stern, by the book head coach. So I don't know if it works, but we'll see. Speaking of Nurse, he gets hired in Philadelphia, and I think if this doesn't work, you got to blow the team up. Nurse has had success everywhere he went. I'm still astonished that he wins a title in Toronto they take the team and blow it up because of salary, whatever, rebuild, we're going to do it a different way issues. He still wins 50 games the first year you do that. This year he misses the playoffs and they can him. And you're like, what? Like, well, how he did everything. He won you a title. He succeeds with a team that you took the talent from and you still fire him. So I think that strong mentality coach in Philadelphia with Embiid and those guys, you don't know where Harden's going to land, if he's going to come back to Philadelphia, if he's going to go to Houston. There's a million different rumors with where Harden's going to end up. But I think with the success they had and how close they became this year with that type of head coach, I believe maybe this puts Philadelphia over the top. If it doesn't, well, then I think you got to blow the team up and start it over, and I don't know what happens.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're kind of on that threshold. So,
yes. And the East is theirs for the taking, because Boston is barely the only other team that might be around for the next few years. Nobody else is really, really blowing it up in the East. Ime Udoka, the Celtics head coach, goes down to Houston and is coaching the Rockets. And it appears that he is going to rob Boston of half the staff in Boston and take his coaching staff that he had in Boston and relocate them to Houston. 3 guys have already informed Boston that they're going to play in Houston, and they're going to go team up with Udoka and go down and coach in Houston. So it looks like your Boston coaching staff is going to reunite, and they're all going to reunite in Houston and coach the Rockets. Now, this guy had success outside of dating everybody in the front office and doing whatever it is. That story just kind of went away. He did whatever he did in Boston, and they suspend him and then fire him, and then after that the story just kind of goes away. It never came out exactly what kind of inappropriate relationship he had. Was it forced? Was it willing? Was it not? Like, it just all went away. So he goes to Houston. He's bringing his coaching staff. It sounds like Harden is leaning towards going back to Houston and reuniting and trying to play in Houston, which, does that mean Harden is okay with not winning, or are they going to be magical? Like, I don't know. Houston was very, very terrible. I don't know where they landed in the draft. This draft is pretty deep, so you might get, we think at Dallas at 10 still has a chance to get somebody very good, because this draft is that deep. So Houston should be in the top 10 for as terrible as they were. They're not giving the draft pick to anybody or anything like that. So you're going to get a draft pick. You might get Harden. You have Udoka. Thoughts on that matchup?
I mean, first of all, I don't really understand. Would the fans even accept Harden back in Houston?
I have no idea.
I hope that's not the case, that he's thinking about that. And I think sticking in Philly for at least another season.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere he's gone, he's I'm coming, and then 6 months later, I hate this place, burn it down, I'm trading me. And in Houston, he left with he put on like 50 pounds, sat on the bench, like he did everything that he basically demanded. Like, I'm getting traded, and I'm going to sit here, and I'm going to gain weight, and I'm going to pout until you meet my demands.
Right.
And held the Houston Rockets hostage, and now there's talk about, I'm going to come back and play and save your franchise.
Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know. I just think staying in Philly probably is better. Houston's
a long way
They're
away.
so far away from stuff at this point. I don't think it really is irrelevant.
Harden would be you would be ending your career on a losing note. There's no way they're going to be successful in the next, if it's maybe minimum 2 to 3 years.
And I think this is going to be obviously a detriment to maybe a little bit to Boston, because
100%.
That's just crazy. That's
staff.
Right. They're going to have to hire new staff. They're going to have to get used to, probably get new plays, all this kind of stuff. So it'll be a transition. They have good players, so I think they'll be able to figure it out. But yeah,
that is a pretty solid blow.
It is.
Three of the coaching staffs, and they're all going down there to rejoin it.
God, you couldn't snag one of those guys. Like, why couldn't they go, hey, you're the coach now. You're the head coach.
Well, no, they have a head coach. Well, and then maybe they don't. I don't know. They weren't successful with that guy. He was thrown into a situation that they thought Udoka was just going to be suspended and then come back, and then he goes out and starts looking for jobs, and they're like, well, we didn't fire you yet. Like, hold on. And then like another team hired him, and then they said, no, we didn't hire him. And then Boston fired. That was a total mess when that went down. And then
this is a internal battle that's going on within the organization itself.
And they said when they were making their comeback in games 5 and 6 that they were like, we're playing for Udoka. We're like, you're playing for the guy who's not your head coach anymore. What about this guy that's leading you? Like, what? And so the players like still wanted to play for him because he created an environment, and they're like, this isn't how he would have taught us or he wanted us to play. Well, you're playing for the wrong. This guy's going. He got another job. So it's been very confusing in Boston. And I think, like I said, I think there was an internal struggle, and that's why, like, they didn't play as well, or I don't know.
Yeah, and again, if the players they don't like their coach, that's going to create a problem.
They're not buying into the system, and now you lose 3 more coaches that were kind of on the old system. It sounds like now you have a whole new system. Are they buying into that, or I don't know. It was very, very crazy.
I don't think the news feeds are done with this with Boston Celtics in the offseason. So
and we know Boston fans are brutal. Like, they're gonna come after ownership, and if they don't like this guy or they don't think he's the right guy for the job, they'll let you know. They're not gonna be quiet about it.
Yeah.
And then did you hear what happened in Detroit?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So all these guys start going off the market, and Detroit's like, oh, man, we got to get our guy. Well, Udoka's there. Nurse is there. This guy's there. Oh, I guess that leaves Monty Williams. Monty, you're our guy. And Monty's like, hard pass. Detroit's a dumpster fire. I don't really want anything to do with that. They're like, but we got a bunch of money. And he's like, that's great. I don't want to coach in Detroit. That's a lot of work that I don't really want to do. They're like, okay. They come back like 2 days later. What if we give you this deal for 6 years and like $80 million, and then we make it incentive based to where you can make 8 for 100? Monty's like, so hold on. You're going to pay me like LeBron James? I'm your guy. Detroit's amazing. This is great. Where do I sign? So Monty Williams is going to be the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, and with incentives can make 8 years and $100 million as a head coach of a basketball team. I said, that is the most unheard of thing I've ever heard in my life.
My God.
I thank God the coaches don't fall under the salary cap, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
I just have never and what I'm getting at is Detroit, you're bidding against yourself. Like, all the other guys were gone. So where do a lot of the coaches do the same thing like in the NFL where they travel to different places? They'll interview here, and all of a sudden, Wednesday they'll interview somewhere else. Yeah, but if you're looking, the only spot that he could have really gone to that you were even going to lose him to was the Toronto Raptors, and Monty Williams' name is not on their list. Like, there's 3 guys, it's down to 3 finalists, and Monty Williams wasn't one of them.
It's crazy though that the other people, maybe they weren't on Detroit's list, or
maybe
Detroit wasn't on their list,
right? there was another team who hired the Raptors assistant, Adrian Griffin. Hold on.
Yeah. I think earlier Brian was commenting.
He was. I saw it earlier. It was too late, but
well, it's funny because it says Outspoken Network comment, and I'm like,
yeah.
And this is for Toronto, you said, right?
He was an assistant in Toronto, but he got hired. Oh, in Milwaukee. He's going to be the new guy in Milwaukee.
Okay.
So he's going to go coach the Freak.
That's good.
In Milwaukee, he doesn't really have he has no head coaching experience.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see.
He may be
Milwaukee's the other team in the East that Philadelphia will have to deal with there, but they got a new head coach and
maybe that's just he'll try some fresh new ideas and
yeah. So Adrian Griffin goes to Milwaukee. Monty Williams goes to Detroit on a crazy deal. And so Toronto is going to be your only vacancy that is left. Doc Rivers has basically, I believe, pulled his name out of everywhere. He pulled his name out of the Phoenix deal right before they announced Frank Vogel as the head coach. So way to go, Doc. Way to pull your name out of the hat that doesn't
he may be done.
That you weren't in. He needs to be done. He has no success. His in game 6s and 7s and he just doesn't he wins. He's a great regular season coach, but right. When he comes to the playoffs, his word or whatever gets lost, and the motivation's just not there, and he just can't close series out, and he's never been able to motivate the big superstar.
Yeah, he's been doing it for a while, and I think it's
he had success, and he's won some titles, so he has nothing to prove.
No, and I think now he's probably just going to be like one of the
get
TV
TNT,
guys.
Yes,
right.
Go to TNT. Go to one of these office the pregame shows and give your knowledge and go bash everybody that has been bashing you for the next for the last several years and enjoy your retirement. But we'll see. Mark Jackson, I can't believe he didn't get more of a look. He builds the Warrior team and gets no credit for that. He drafted it, but helped put it together, and then they go and get Kerr, and that the rest is history on that deal. But that's your NBA coaching carousel for now. We will talk about if the Toronto Raptors make their decision next week and update the NBA Finals. One more quick note. It appeared last night that the commissioner has said the Ja Morant suspension will come on the heels of the NBA Finals. He said that they found some more information, but they don't want to take away and overshadow what the teams have worked for and over highlight the championship. So once they said that it's the off season, Memphis has already suspended him. He can't go to the facility. There's really no need to rush. And there's no games tomorrow that he's going to play or not play.
Right.
We're hearing the number of somewhere in the area of 30 to 40 games to get his attention.
Half the season, basically.
Yes, but my only problem here, real quick, is 40 games for what? He didn't do anything illegal. He didn't break any laws. Is the gun his? Does he legally own it? If I go and flash one on the camera, is my job gonna say you're suspended because you have a gun in your home and you put it on the Instagram Live? I don't now when he went outside and put it in his waistband to the kid that he was losing the one-on-one to, that's more of a problem for me than flashed in it on your Instagram Live.
Well, and this is probably NBA saving face.
I guess.
Like this is probably them going, "Oh, well, we messed up the last time,
but
and
as
we
the
probably
Players
shouldn't have."
Association,
But
that's the question I'm asking. What did he do that was show me a NBA bylaw that says the legal gun owner can't have the gun in his waistband. He wasn't pointing it at the camera saying that he was going to hurt himself or hurt others. So what did we like? Where are we getting the suspension of that?
I wonder if there was
well, we'll see what the additional information that they've uncovered.
There's more to the story
than that'll be thing. But right now, with what has been presented and why Memphis suspended him for being on his buddy's Instagram Live with a gun. Like,
well, he should have been suspended for pointing at some kid during a game.
That's my problem. But, now, when you go in the house and the little 12-year-old is smacking John Morant around on the driveway, and he goes in and goes, "I'm going to win the one-on-one game because I got my 9mm in my waistband." Now we have a problem, because that's that.
This isn't the game of horse we were playing. What's going on?
That's the problem. But when you go, "Oh, that gets 5 games for that." What?
Yeah. I just don't know. NBA does weird stuff. They don't address the problem when it happens, and then something else happens, and then they address that problem, and it's like
lost time.
Right,
you can't suspend.
It's kind of like
your own screw up.
Right, it's kind of like Roger Goodell, who was the guy that from the Ravens that just
Ray Rice.
Ray
Rice knifes his
yeah.
fiance. Completely unconscious, ragdolls are in the thing. They go,
and Goodell almost swept it under the rug. Almost.
I think you get a game for that, Ray. And then all of a sudden the video surfaces and you see her getting carried out of the elevator, and they're like, "That he did that?" And every women's group says they're gonna boycott the NFL, and Roger's like, "Did I say one? I meant for life." That's what that was just a minute where I drew the line. Like, And Roger's like, "I thought we got rid of the tape, guys. What are we doing?" I mean, it's 100.
So that reminds me of that, where I'm just like, "Oh my gosh!"
Knee-jerk
come on now.
reaction to fans saying, "Why has John Morant got a gun?" Yeah. So,
well, a lot of it now. I think all of this comes down to these whether it's the NFL, it's the NBA. They want to save the brand's face.
Absolutely,
they want to save face. They want to make sure the brand doesn't look bad. This isn't who we are. We're
not a
group of organizations
here that really has control over what happens in their league. The owners control the narrative, and if the owners call the commissioner and say, "That guy needs to go, he's bad for our pocketbooks," well, then John Morant's going to go for the pocketbooks. If Ray Rice is bad for the owner's pocketbooks, Colin Kaepernick kneeled on the sideline, and they're like, "That's bad publicity. He needs to go." And if you tell me today that Colin Kaepernick wasn't blacklisted out of the NFL, I will tell you that you're wrong. Because the owners colluded and said, no one, and I repeat, no one is going to put Colin Kaepernick on their roster. Got it, Roger. Nobody put him on the roster, and he hasn't been on the roster since. And I mean, he's had some workouts to where they're like, "Oh, he might still have." I mean, Colin Kaepernick could have played better than a lot of other people that played in the NFL last year, and so it's the owners control the narrative. The guys that control the money, they're the ones paying the owner's salary. So the owner's gonna listen to the guys that pay the big bucks, and that's the way it is. And you got a couple owners in each sport that are louder than the other owners, and so their vote gets a little bit more weight than Jerry Jones in the NFL, Arthur Blanks, and some of these bigger names. They get the votes, and so it'll be interesting to see when the NBA finals wrap up what Morant's suspension and what additional information they have found for that. But okay, so real quick, MLB power rankings. I wanted to get me and Brian went through this real quick last week. They haven't really changed much, but I wanted to get your take on it. Big series for you guys this weekend in the Dodgers and the Yankees. You got Kershaw against your big gun tonight.
Cole.
Huh? Well, no, it's not
Garrett
Cole.
Let's see. So Clark Schmidt pitched the other day, so I don't think it's him.
No, it's not Saravelli.
Okay. Let us see who it is. So you got Luis Severino and Clayton Kershaw tonight.
Yeah. Severino and Kershaw. And then I don't know if you catch Cole.
Cole is Saturday.
So
and Michael versus Michael
there you
Grove.
And
then Domingo Germán and Bobby Miller
and
Sunday.
And the Dodgers have had two big injuries with May and Urias. May sounds like it's serious. Sounds like it's a ligament strain issue, could be a long time, and Urias just sounds like he's going to miss a couple starts, but that could be huge for the Dodgers. They don't really have a lot of backup or depth in the starting pitching department, so we'll see where that goes. But the Yankees are kind of catching fire a little bit. Most people have them at 5. They have Tampa, Texas, the Dodgers, the Braves, and the Yankees. Baltimore and Houston round out your top 7. Baltimore's got to be a surprise. Texas has got to be a surprise.
Baltimore's not so much to me.
No, because they've drafted pretty well.
They have, but they do sometimes, like the Tampa Bay Rays. Tampa Bay Rays will do that sometimes, where all of a sudden be like, "Who's this team?"
Well, and Tampa,
like last year,
guy was in Cash. Kevin Cash takes the band of misfit toys and makes the best of it every year. They've made the playoffs. Mm-hmm. I don't know how countless years with no fans, and he just keeps winning. He just keeps winning with very little payroll. It's always the lowest in baseball outside of probably the Athletics. And they just keep winning. Texas, on the other hand, it's a surprise, but it's not a surprise. They just went and spent buku's amount of money on all kinds of starting pitching. It sounds like DeGrom is going to miss another month.
That's not surprising.
It's not been surprising when they signed him. Eovaldi has been nails. He's had 5 starts of he had at one point in time he had a 28 inning scoreless streak. He just shut the Tigers out again the other night. He's pitcher of the month.
Yeah, Nathan Eovaldi's a weird player. 100%. He played with Boston for a while, and I think he also played with the Yankees.
He was very good in Boston, but he was also the same as DeGrom. He was injury prone.
Right. So, it's this weird, I don't know. It's such a risk when it comes to how my dad will call me, right? And he's just like, oh yeah, he's like, the Rangers are this and the Yankees are that. And I'm like, Dad, when it comes to baseball, man, it's a weird sport.
It is. You
can start off awesome. Yeah. Like last year, the Yankees started off awesome. It was like, what is this?
They were,
then towards the end,
years ahead of people, and ended up limping to the finish.
Right. So I'm just kind of like, let's get to the All-Star.
Yeah. Well, and that's exactly what you said last year.
Injuries are going to happen. It is a given. Something will happen to this Rays team. They got injured last year. That was one of the reasons why they were just not existent. There was nothing going on. I don't even think they were in the top 3 in the division.
If you started, got Tommy John, so it's already started.
Right. So it's so crazy. What I do think is interesting about these teams is that Texas is going to have to worry about Houston. Houston's getting healthy.
Yes. They just got
That's
Altuve
going to
back.
be a
They
problem.
just got Altuve back. They're only 3 games back. They're playing.
Right.
They just swept somebody the other day. A very good team in
Was
somebody
it the
Seattle.
No, not the
the
A's.
Angels maybe.
Angels. I think it might have been the
I think
Angels.
they just sweep Otani and
Yeah.
you know and Altuve hits a walk-off grand slam. Like, he's healthy. That other guy that they got, Jordan, is just mashing the ball.
So what I look at is I'm starting to look at some changes with what's going on in these divisions a little bit. I'm starting to look at some of these Toronto is not a scary team. A lot of people thought they were a very scary team.
I think they'll be around at the end.
They will be around. They're not scaring people now.
Boston has made an impressive for what I thought they had. They did lose Chris Sale today to a shoulder injury. He's on the IL. He pulled to start. He got pulled out last night and goes to the IL. No idea the severity of it. They have an MRI, but clearly it's enough that he's going to miss at least 2 starts.
When is he going to be done?
Yeah.
It's another one. Kind of like Crosby. So it's just kind of like, the weird part about this, and I've said this on the show before, obviously I'm a Yankee fan, but the interesting part is this team has not been healthy coming in. We have been winning series, right? Coming into this season, we've had a few series where we did not win or we split. The fact that the pitching staff is starting to get better, Luis Severino is basically coming back.
Carlos Rodon has still yet.
Rendon is on the 60-day EL, I think now. Yeah. So he's on the verge of coming back. I think they're really, really just kind of babying him until the All-Star break. And then that's not including, we have relief pitchers that are on the verge of coming back. So the fact that this team has kind of been able to win with a gimped rotation and a gimped, basically relief pitching is kind of a crazy thing. So
yeah, well, that's where Texas is. That's where Texas's problem is. Their bullpen is skeptical at best.
Right.
And my question is can you sustain this unlandish amount of offense that you put out?
Well, the weird part is there's no way that the Rays can sustain something like this.
I don't think so.
This 40 to 13 is how many losses? 13 losses or something crazy like that. That's not going to continue. Like, this is baseball. Like, that would be an unheard of run. One of the best, if not the greatest ever, and they probably would win 130 games or something like that. But like, it's just, that's not going to, something will happen with the Rays. Whether it's injuries to the starting rotation, something will happen where they will lose some games and it will become a problem.
Yeah, 40-18. They're 26-6 at home. When they get away from Tropicana, they're only 14-12. So that's a problem.
Yeah, and so the same thing goes for the Rangers. As much as they've been winning, here comes Houston, and it's just kind of like, you can't afford
and the Mariners are only 6.5 back.
Yeah, well, especially with Houston, you can't afford to lose series. You can't afford injuries.
No.
And I think when it comes to stuff, people are probably going to be really, really waiting for people to get healthy. And that's going to be the key this year. For a lot of these teams, it's like, who's healthy at the end, who waited just enough to get their guys in right towards the end, just enough time for them to get on a momentum run and get into playoffs. And at that point, who knows?
Well, you're probably going to get all the wild cards. Well, most of the wild cards are going to come out of the East. One will probably come out of the West. Nothing's coming out of the Central other than the division winner, because that division is just imploding on itself. The Tigers are under 500 and they're only 2.5 games back.
It's going to be crazy because there's going to be so much going on with these teams, and it's going to be a back and forth battle, man. It really is. I mean, the Yankees are starting to win some series and they're catching up to the Rays. The Rangers are up at top, and here comes Houston, which every year I'm like, when is it going to be over for Houston? Just come back.
Yeah.
So
Atlanta, they think that Ronald Acuna could be the first player in, I don't know, better part of 20 years to have 20 stolen bases in a month. He was right on the brink of it. I don't know if he got there at the end of May or not, but they think he's definitely going to be a 40-40 guy, which has been unheard of since Bonds years ago back in Pittsburgh.
there'll be a little asterisk on it though. They'll be like, the faces are bigger.
Yeah.
You know.
And so and the pitch clock, and you can't pick guys off all the time or whatever. Yeah. But Atlanta is going to be tough. My biggest thing right now is San Diego. San Diego has all this talent, a lineup that is from top to bottom probably one of the most scary in baseball. And they're 26-30, and they're 7.5 games back in the West, and they're just imploding. They go and sign Gary Sanchez, who hasn't been able to go, and he's caught on with 4 different teams already this year. The Giants had him, couldn't get him out of the minor leagues. The Mets had him, got him out of the minor leagues. He played, I don't know, a weekend, and they let him go. And he goes in San Diego, and he's hit 2 home runs into San Diego when he showed up. So they're like, woo, we have, mother load. I don't think Gary Sanchez is the answer.
The problem with Gary Sanchez is that he was able to produce offense for the Yankees, but the problem is that he couldn't be pitcher. Catcher. He had a problem with catching.
He's a defensive liability.
Defensive problems. He's got an arm. That's the weird part. He does have an arm.
No. He just can't catch the ball.
Right.
Like he just can't stay in front of it.
Right. And also, he is a horrible setup
game caller or
pitch caller, but he's also a very horrible framer. He does it so obviously, and it just looks so it's like what, and they're going to immediately
looks at the umpire.
It's so bad. So I mean, when it comes to why they let him go for exactly that reason. Aaron Hicks is not part of the Yankees anymore. Good.
Oh, he signs with Baltimore, I believe.
Good luck. He's been injury prone, wasted contract. I remember when they paid him a
lot of money.
They did pay him a lot of money. It was just a waste because he was never healthy. I mean, and also here's another crazy stat, and this is insane. So 2022 stat numbers. 2023 stat numbers for Aaron Judge, they're almost the same this time through the season.
And you're not.
And I'm like, God.
And nobody's talking about it.
That's crazy. It's almost the same.
Everybody but him.
The batting average just dipped just a tad, but everything else is basically the same. Home run numbers and everything. And I'm like, God.
And nobody said a word. Everybody's like, well, Aaron's there. Like, what? He's having another
He's having another season, and it's just like oh man, it's crazy. But so it's fun, man. It's exciting. I hope that the new rules stuff, and I hope the excitement and stuff is kind of bringing more people and more audience to watch the game.
It's a different atmosphere. I'll tell you that. We went and saw that game, and it was an hour and 50 something minutes. I mean, the game started at 7 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and before dark we were out of there. I mean, it was crazy. It was under 2 hours. I mean, now of course there was a shutout by Eovaldi. He pitched 9 innings, so there wasn't any pitching changes or whatever.
Right.
But that it's I love baseball, and I love what they do and the stats and everything like that.
Yeah.
Have you been following at all this Bally Sports case that's going on?
That's something to where what was it? It's like certain team you can't watch the games.
You had 9 teams that the Rangers what happened was Bally's didn't make the payment for San Diego, and San Diego said,
that's it,
we're done. And so Major League Baseball took over the rights. But what it is they don't have the streaming rights. These 9 teams, Bally's doesn't have the streaming rights. Major League Baseball is holding on to them. Go, you could produce it, but you can't stream it. So certain cable providers don't have Bally's. Well, then you have to pay for the app. But when then you pay for the app, you can't watch it still because they
It's
don't have
blacked
the
out.
streaming rights.
Right.
So you're blacked out. So they say, well, we want people to buy MLB TV. Well, no, because when you buy MLB TV, that's gone off of where you're located.
Right.
And where you're located, where you sign in at, it pings where you sign in at, and they go, you can't watch
Blackout.
So when
Mhm.
when I'm watching the Giants there, I couldn't watch when they played the Rangers because it was blacked out because
Right.
it shows I'm in Texas.
Yeah.
And or when they played the Astros, I can't watch because of deal. Well, then one night I go to log in and they're in, I don't know, Cincinnati. And they're like, it's blacked out. I was like, I don't live anywhere close to Cincinnati. So I call them and they go, oh, well, you're in such and such. No, not. Oh, well, that's the server that you somehow pinged into, so it gave you the IP address for that you were in this location. Well, I'm not. I'm here. Okay, hold on. All right, here you go. And they had to override the IP address to show
Wow.
that. So, but MLB is wanting their money, and if these
Mhm.
teams don't pay by June 15th, then MLB is going to take it. It's a mess. And Bally's is like, well, hold on though. If we don't have the streaming rights, well then you can't charge us the same as you charge us for the other 20 teams that we have the streaming rights to. Like you can't. It has to be, if you're going to keep the streaming rights, that's fine. But the contract that we signed was an agreement to do all of it. You're not fulfilling your end of the contract because you're keeping the streaming rights, which should make our money that we're giving you in the agreement that you gave us should make our payment less. And the judge says, that's not how contracts work. You sign the contract, you're liable for the payment. And so I think you're going to have a ton of teams that are going to be very difficult. Major League Baseball is going to have to take over the production, and it's going to be where you can watch it. It's going to be a really, really interesting thing come the middle of June to keep an eye on of what these teams do for TV rights and everything like that.
Yeah. What a mess.
And baseball's not, they don't need to be messing with TV deals already because they've already had enough problems with getting viewers and everything like that. You need to
Yeah.
be making it, you need to find a way to make it easier to watch, not more difficult.
No, yeah, and
At this
that's
point in time, do not make it more difficult to find your games.
yeah. I mean, that just seems like a headache. I don't
It
even know.
absolutely is a headache. And the judge, I mean, like I said, it seems like they're making decisions off of just, well, it's a contract. So if it's a contract, I don't want to hear anything the rest of it. I just heard the word contract. So the contract says you agreed and they agreed and we both signed it. So it's a deal. And they're not hearing the right side of the story. So it's going to be a mess. And I don't know how this happened with just these 9 teams and it wasn't everybody on the same scenario. Like
Right.
we have the streaming rights to everybody. No, we just have the streaming rights to these 9 teams. So I have no idea how we came to that agreement. How like the Yankees have their own, well, they have the Nesson or whatever, or the Yes,
Yes.
Network or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they have the Yes Network. Boston has Nesson. San Francisco has NBC Bay Area. So they don't come into play. But the teams that are under this Bally's umbrella, Fox Sports Southwest, Fox Bally's Detroit, Bally's this, now you're under, we own the streaming right. Well, how do you own the streaming rights to 9 teams but not the rest? Like, I don't understand.
That's why
So
either it's got to be local channels that
it
own the
is,
rights, or it's got to
but
be,
and
you
these
know,
cable deals though, all these cable programs aren't like, oh, well, you lost Bally's. Well, oh, you lost ESPN. Oh, you lost. So you're having to go and all right, I'm paying cable for DirecTV. Well, but then I got to go get this app and this app and this app. Well, basically, guys that are cutting the cord, they're not saving any money
yeah,
because you're having to nickel and dime of 7 other apps to watch what you want to watch.
right.
And it's crazy. So, all right. I believe that covers all of it. we get to our favorite part of the show. What's
Oh,
in your locker this evening?
just plugging away at the new stuff. Getting to a point where I can, show that. I think we're going to be showing that off relatively soon, maybe even on the next deal. Hopefully, I do a couple test runs, make sure everything works, and chilling out. We've had a bunch of rain here, tons of rain. And the other day I think we got some hail too. So, but it's been actually kind of cool for the so far spring and then into this month. So, so that, and then we have a couple things coming up this weekend, but just trying to relax. We had the kind of a short week because we had Monday off. So
We did not. Trash runs no matter what.
But what's in your locker?
I had graduation last weekend, so last weekend was super busy. My son graduated high school. We had a party on Sunday, graduation Saturday. That's wrapped up. And now we get into the first weekend of having really nothing. We're not going to have any more band. We're not going to have any more, school events. We're not going to have any of that. So I got to work for a few hours tomorrow. And then it's, the main goal right now is getting him his driver's license and getting him. We got his truck all fixed up, got the air conditioned fixed, got the floor mats clean, got the inside detailed, and getting him to drive the car. And car insurance for kids is outrageous. It just absolutely went through the roof when he got added. But that's about it. Gonna watch the game one of the Stanley Cup tomorrow night. Probably watch the finals on Sunday if it comes on at a reasonable hour. With Brian being on vacation, I will in somewhat running the show, doing some meetings and stuff like that in the mornings. I'll have to be there about 2:30 to take care of that. Not sure if he'll be back next Friday or not. It may just be me and you again. I don't know if they're going out of town. I know he's busy today and this weekend. Don't know exactly what he has planned next weekend, if he plans to be around or be back for next Friday. But
he didn't make it seem like he was. Yeah, he made it seem like he was going to
be around.
Back. Yeah.
All right. So that's about it. It's going to be tomorrow work, and then Stanley Cup playoffs tomorrow night, and then Sunday just putz around the house and do some stuff. And my one day without an alarm at 2:00 in the morning to wake up. That's why Sundays are my favorite day of the week. Is I can turn the phone off, I can turn the alarm off, and I can just get more than about 4.5 hours.
Oh.
So that's about all. So that is going to be it for this evening. We will be back next Friday with hopefully maybe a new platform and some new intro videos and platforms and stuff. We're all super excited to get this launched and get it. Jeff's been working countless. It seems like all his free time is doing that and texting me and Brian and showing us all the new things. And I think we keep finding new features as we're playing with it to be able to take some clips from the show and move them over to short videos. And at the end of the intro video, you could show the picture of who's actually going to be the host for the evening, whether it's all three of us or tonight just being the two of us, or on the times we have to do solos. So it's going to be super exciting. Make sure you download us on YouTube. We didn't have as many comments tonight as we had a couple weeks ago. YouTube, Twitch, anywhere that you get your favorite podcast, you can download the audio version. And that is going to be it for this evening. Remember, God bless.
Keep it outspoken.